Good afternoon, class and future teachers. My name is Charles Hodge, and today I will be presenting my integrated video presentation, integrating language arts and social studies instruction with 4 pieces of literature. The first two stories, they are connected. They have similar themes and plots. The names of the story, both the first one is Sweet Clara and the Freedom Quilt, and the other story is Hidden in Plain View, a story of quilts. Both of these stories, short synopsis. Sweet Clara is about a slave who lives on a plantation. She's a seamstress. She gets information about how to escape to Canada, so she weaves a map into a quilt, which helps her achieve that freedom, and she actually leaves it for the other slaves that are still in captivity. The other story, Hidden in Plain View, a story of quilts, it's a biography. It's a nonfiction book. I chose this because it has oral tradition embedded in it. The lady Ozella Williams has received oral tradition and oral information from her slave ancestries about quilts, but those oral traditions state that the quilts had symbols, not actual maps that led the slaves to their freedom. One lesson that I believe that would be beneficial to students would be comparing the language structure of the 1800s, the mid-1800s, to that of the 20th century in each piece of literature. For example, we could assess the students' knowledge by designing a matching exercise with actual words from the 18th century and definitions from the 20th century. And here's kind of an example of that. Bear with me, please. These are the words that would be on the sample exercise. We could use more, and these would be the words from the 1800s. These definitions would be from the 20th century, so that the students could make a connection between the 18th century words and the 20th century definitions. I also think that having a brief discussion about maybe the reasons why the slaves were running and why the slaves left in correlation with the living and working conditions during that time period, and also comparing the living and working conditions to that of lower income citizens of today. The third story I would like to go over would be a story called Ma Dear's Apron. This story is about a child, African-American child at the turn of the 20th century, who observes his mother wearing a different apron for every day. Every day she goes to work. For example, she wears a blue apron. Anytime she wears that blue apron, it will be on a Monday, and she would be washing clothes and hanging clothes out to dry. I would have the students, directly after reading this story, I would require these students to fill out this chart. As you can see, it lists the days of the week, and then it's going to list every job that the main character had performed. And even what we'll do is on the chart, I will ask how much do they think that the main character earned, how much do they think that the main character would earn today, or they would earn today, and how much would they pay another person to perform the particular job. Now, we would do this first, and then we would discuss our answers. I would require the students to research via trade book, internet, an outside source to perform this chart again. and we would discuss the results once they had researched via internet or an outside source other than the book. I think that this lesson would help the students understand the increase in the cost of living, and also how they can save money by just simply doing some things by themselves. The fourth story was a piece of literature that I did a story analysis on this week. It's called Sparrow Girl, and in short, it's about a girl that lives in a community in China, and that community is experiencing a problem with sparrows. So the leader of China decides, okay, we're going to get rid of the sparrows by noise. So he enacts a noise ordinance to where people can pop firecrackers, use pans to drive the sparrows away. So a lot of the sparrows, most of the sparrows leave the area. The little girl, the main character in the story, feels compassion and concern for those sparrows. So the injured and weak sparrows she keeps in a barn. After a while, the farmers in the community notice that they've encountered a more tedious problem. There are now locusts that are destroying their crops. So the little girl notices this, and she informs the people in the community, hey, I've been taking care of these sparrows. I've been feeding them. Why don't we let the sparrows back out into the community, kind of regulate it, and see what happens. So the sparrows, they are released, and the crops eventually do recover. Now, I think the number one lesson that would help students understand the economic and the ecological concepts would be a reader's theater, having the students act out the characters, or they could even change the setting to their own town or change it to another place. And I think that would help the students understand the concept of, excuse my phone, they would help the students understand the concept of the economy and ecological purposes. And as well as the reader's theater, I would also have the students do a word picture. And on this word picture, they would explain why the sparrows were originally drove out. They would also explain why they were brought back, and how they were beneficial to the farmers. They could do a large-scale word art, or they could simply just write the answers in the wings or the tail. But I would preferably, to gain an understanding of this, have them write each of their ideas or their opinions as an outline of the bird on the outline. And I think that would help them understand the concept better. That was my integrated video presentation. I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and have a blessed day.